from the wheelhouse then, we will go down into the saloon, and starting at the front. So yeah, she has a nice double bed. This bed actually is really good because it takes a standard small double mattress, standard small double. So you know, you just buy a normal mattress basically and then cut a little corner off it. Just remove the cover and cut a little corner off it. So yeah, it's like sleeping in a normal bed. If you've ever slept on boats, bunks are often a bit of a compromise. Well, a lot of a compromise, and actually not that comfortable a lot of the time. But this one's really good. Damp underneath mattresses is often an issue as well, and this one I've got slats underneath, so I don't get any dampness underneath the mattress. I don't know how well, if at all, you can see through the slats there, but if you can a little bit, you'll see that the bow thruster is underneath there, and a battery box with 2 batteries, and that underneath there is my little washing machine. Believe it or not, I've got a washing machine on the boat. Twin tubs, remember those? That's a little twin tub. I think they're usually sold to people with big camper vans, but yeah, I'll show you in the bathroom, which is where I put it in the bathroom and it drains through the floor. I'll show you that in a minute. But that's sort of useful. Storage on boats, there's often quite a lot of storage. There's often more storage than you might think, but a lot of the time it's quite inaccessible. So on here, that's just a little fan heater that I use. Put that on 15 minutes when it's cold, before I go to bed, and this cabin warms up nicely. So there's some storage in there. It goes down quite far. There is storage under that seat. There's another locker here, another locker there. Again, tons of stuff can be fitted in there. Relatively accessible. The storage that you saw underneath the bed here, which is not that accessible. And then moving into the saloon, well, I'll just give you the view now. Sort of the view, you can see all the way through to the back of the boat now. So yeah, I mean, the saloon is just lovely, good size, really good size. Nice sort of lounging area. All of that, the seating, came off I think a Bavaria 42. So yeah, the U-shaped seating from a Bavaria 42 was used. It's getting a little bit worn, so I might replace all that at some point. So yeah, got a few lights on at the moment because it's a bit all dark and grey and rainy and windy. So yeah, yeah, storage underneath all of those seats there. A little bit inaccessible because you've got to take the cushions away. Storage lockers all along the side. The TV is a 12-volt one, so that just plugs into the 12-volt sockets there. I put those in. I haven't really done very much. She didn't need much doing at all, Baloo didn't, but I put a few more 12-volt sockets in, of which that's one. A car CD player, so again 12-volt. What else do we have? Just close this door. So yeah, here we have, I use this one as a clothes locker, so that's all full of clothes. Gas cooker, gas oven, the 2 gas bottles in a locker that's underneath the side deck, just behind the cooker there. These cupboards here are all sort of just go underneath the side deck. This is the fridge. That's my fridge there. It could do with defrosting, couldn't it? So yeah, gas from gas bottles. The fridge is a 12-volt fridge. That's the compressor for the 12-volt fridge there. Storage underneath there, that's my pressure cooker there. I've got one of those, I don't know if anybody else knows, I've got a thing called a Rimoshka, which is like a small electric oven. And then there's, as well as the 12-volt circuit on the boat, there's 240-volt domestic electrics as well, so microwave, toaster, kettle, that's all off the mains electricity. And you run an electric power cable from the boat to a power supply on the pontoon. So yeah, you've got mains power and 12-volt power. This is the bathroom. That is it's not a composting toilet. It's a separator where the not to put too fine a point on it, where the number 1 and the number 2 get separated out, and you just empty the bottle of number 1. I empty it about once a week. There was a really, again, this is a really good size for a boat bathroom or a boat head. Nice proper sink there, and there's a shower head there, so that just pulls out when you want to shower, if you want to have a shower on board, and it drains through a hole in the floor there. So yeah, if I want to use that little twin tub, I just bring it out and I put it in there, fill it with the shower head with hot water. There's a hot water tank on the boat as well, and when I'm finished, it just drains through the floor. When I open up the engine compartment, you'll see where it drains to. So yeah, that's that. Those steps there lift up, and there's a board that can be removed, so that's how you get access to the front of the engine. You won't be able to see very well, I don't think, with the light, but actually you can. So inside there, that is the hot water tank, that's the water filter, that's a little header tank, accumulator tank. It's all a bit of a tangle there, but it all makes sense. That's the water pump down there. Behind there, some of the electrics there. One of the switch panels. And if I haven't got the key handy, but behind there, it's all nicely labelled. Everything's nicely labelled and properly fused, and the electrics have been done really well. Which is often not the case on a boat. So we're back up into the wheelhouse now. Some of the equipment she's got, that's a GPS unit, which you can navigate with that. You can put waypoints in and things. But that mainly is to serve a GPS feed to the radio, to the VHF radio. That's just the TV aerial there, and I get normal free view. Normal free view reception is fine. On this side, that's the control for the engine. Bow thruster control, windscreen wipers, exhaust temperature gauge. Switch some of them on so you can see. Yeah, that's the exhaust temperature gauge. This here, we've got gauges for water tanks, fuel, port and starboard. There was a waste tank. I used to have an electric toilet that drained into a waste tank, but I removed all that. It wasn't very pleasant to deal with, and used a lot of fresh water. I don't know if you can hear the wind, but the wind is really picking up again. Absolutely horrible. You wouldn't want to be outside doing anything in this weather. Really, really horrible. Let's do the windscreen wiper again so you can see. You can see Little Rona's mast over there. There's a very tall mast over the top of that motorboat that's straight in front of you. You can see two masts, one of which is about half the size of the other. The little one is Little Rona. So from here I can just keep an eye on Little Rona as well. It's just quite handy. Where were we? Yeah, so you've got the depth depth sounder there, that's the engine panel. Another 12-volt socket I installed. Steering compass there. What else? What else? Heating. All I use for heating is that radiator down there, which is a 1.5 kilowatt radiator, and I also use a dehumidifier, which is that thing there, which is a desiccant rather than a compressor dehumidifier. The compressor ones only work when it's pretty warm. The desiccant dehumidifiers work at any temperature. This thing is really good because there's such a big window area here. When it's very cold outside and warm in the boat, you get a lot of condensation in the wheelhouse here, but that deals with it really well. And then the aft cabin, come down in here. So there are two single bunks in the aft cabin, so they go sort of underneath the seating that's in the they run underneath the seating that's in the wheelhouse, and they're a good size and they're very comfortable as well. And again, very handily, there's loads of storage underneath there obviously, and again you've got slats, so you don't get dampness underneath the bunk cushions. Right at the back now, that thing there is the diesel heater, the warm air heater. I only use that when it's really super cold. It has got an exhaust on it, which is good because it keeps things quiet. Those things are really noisy. On the outside they're really noisy, but this one's got an exhaust on it, so I don't annoy the neighbours with it. And that warm air heater, there are outlets in all the cabins. There's an outlet down there for the aft cabin. That's one of the outlets there, and you can open them or close them, or vary the amount of hot air or direct the hot air. And the warm air heater's got outlets in all the cabins. So yeah, that's pretty nice when it's really cold. And then underneath this rug in the wheelhouse is the main engine access, so we'll have a quick look at that as well. Get that out of the way. And then down the steps, that's the other part of the truck. And here is Baloo's engine, which is an Isuzu 65 horsepower. There's about 620 hours or something like that on it now, 600 odd hours. So yeah, what you would expect to see in here, that box down there is what the floor drain in the bathroom drains into that, and there's a little float switch in there, so as soon as water starts coming into that little box, the float switch activates and pumps the water out over the side. So that's if you have a shower or use a washing machine in there or something. He's been really the guy who fitted the boat out, who I actually met, really nice guy, and made a very good job of fitting Baloo out. We have there are two completely separate fuel delivery systems. Quite often with marine engines you get sort of blockages and air trapped in the fuel lines, and you need to bleed the engine or something like that. So if something like that happened, obviously Baloo's only got one engine, so if the engine is starved of fuel for whatever reason, you just switch to the other system and the other tank while you sort out the problems with the one that's got the problem. So that's really nicely thought out. Behind me there is the battery charger. Everything's just been done really nicely with good quality. That's a Victron battery charger. There are 3 battery banks in total. There's one underneath that bunk, there's one underneath that bunk, and there's the one that we saw at the front underneath the bunk in the fore cabin. The battery bank at the front serves the windlass and the bow thruster, and then the ones at the back, the domestic one is underneath there, that's for the TV and the fridge and all the rest of it, and then the engine starting battery bank is underneath that bunk there. And that charger, that's a mains charger, and it charges all three battery banks independently. And the engine alternator, when the engine's running, obviously you're not plugged into the mains, and the alternator charges all three battery banks. So there we are, that's it. That took a little bit longer than I thought actually, but gives you an idea. This is a relatively big, I say relatively complex. It's sort of much more complex than a boat like Little Rona is, you know. And I started all this sort of getting into living on a boat and all the rest of it about 10 years ago now. And if I'd have been to see a boat like this 10 years ago, I'd have thought, no, it's too much. I don't know enough. I don't know enough to own and maintain and operate a boat like this. But now I do, and none of it's that complicated, really. You've just got, it helps if you're a bit practical to start with. It definitely helps if you're a bit practical to start with and do things like maintaining cars, motorbikes, anything electrical. But anybody can learn all this stuff. It's not that complicated. It's not rocket science by any stretch, you know. And the way sort of the housing situation here in the UK, you know, there's loads of people live in this marina full time, and it's just a nice way to live. The community is great. Everybody helps each other out. Because it's a fairly economical way to live. Obviously you've got to buy a boat to start with, but that doesn't have to be super expensive. You don't have to buy such a big boat as this, and it's a nice way to live. I think it wouldn't suit everybody, but it also does things like give you more choice about the type of work that you can do. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to have a stressful commute into London or something like that. You can work more locally. Or if you're into doing arty stuff, you know, you can do more of that and perhaps work part-time. So it does give you more options as well, I think. I certainly enjoy it anyway, and would recommend it. What else to say? Yeah, I can't think of much else to say at the moment, really, but if anyone's got any questions or anything like that, by all means post them, you know, and I'll answer them. Let's hope that the weather improves soon. I'll just give you well, you can't really, you can see a little bit through the window there, I guess, but yeah, I don't think I'll be going anywhere today anyway. Absolutely horrible again. Time to put the kettle on, I think. That's all for now. It often happens, this does, when we get really severe weather. I think you probably can see in the middle, somebody's sail has unfurled itself and will basically flog itself to death before very long. So I'll get my waterproofs on, go and have a look, and if it's safe to put it away for them, if I can do it without getting myself whipped along across the face or whatever by ropes and sail, then go and see if I can put it away. Right, we're back on board. I've been to sort that sail out. There's somebody else there as well, so two of us, we managed to put it away, and there was some damage unfortunately. Maybe it'll be repairable, maybe not, but anyway, it's furled away and no longer flapping and flogging. It doesn't really give any impression at all of how bad it actually is out there on the camera, I don't think, because it's absolutely horrible. It was raining a bit heavier when I was out there, and the rain was actually hurting my face. Anyway, I think that's enough fun and games for one day.